Hold on, guys. Let me do that again. I forgot to throw it on the banner. All right, we're good now. Now let's fire it up.
Caught. Slowly, left side, Buxton flying down the line, he beat it!
Welcome to the SKOL Joel Twins post-game show. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for that. I'm still a rookie at this, but what can I say? Twins took home a victory today. Final score 3-2 over the St. Louis Cardinals, breaking their 5-game losing streak that we previously had. I'm excited. Of course, I'm your host, like you just heard in the intro, SKOL Joel. We have a guest host that'll be on in just a moment for us. So today, the Twins were able to take home a victory by a final score of 3-2. Like I said, Twins starting pitcher was Pablo Lopez tonight. Starting pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals was Miles Mikolas. In fact, I'll share a little bit of stats before we get completely into it. Pablo Lopez coming into the year was 6-6 with an ERA of 4.13. He's third in the MLB in strikeouts this season, only behind Kevin Gausman and Spencer Strider. He also has a whip of 1.142 on the year heading into this game. Miles Mikolas was 6-6 on the season heading into the game with an ERA of 4.38 and a whip of 1.30. In fact, I actually wrote down some splits that I thought were interesting. Pablo Lopez actually pitches better on the road. He has a 4.71 ERA on, no, that's at home, excuse me, and a 3.56 ERA on the road. It's also the same actually with Miles Mikolas. He also pitches better on the road than at home. 5.05 ERA at home, 3.84 on the road. Heading into the game, the St. Louis Cardinals were 47-60, so this drops them to 47-61. They are currently last place in the NL Central. As far as the Minnesota Twins are concerned, they are now 55-53. 2 games ahead of the Cleveland Guardians, as the Cleveland Guardians lost tonight to the Houston Astros by a final score of 2-0. Framber Valdez threw a no-hitter in that game. Good for him. So with that said, there was a specific note I was going to start with, but I'm already forgetting what it was. Oh, okay, I got it. I wrote it down. Actually, I'm going to save it for later. So that's your look around. That's your look at the AL Central, and that is your look at the Twins from the macro view. So with that said, we are going to pop the guest on screen. He's been around before. This is not his first appearance on the channel. It's his first appearance on the SKOL Joel Twins post-game show, but not his first overall appearance on the J-Dude channel, which may become renamed to the SKOL Joel Twin, or just to SKOL Joel. Thinking about it. But ladies and gentlemen, Matt is a guest here today, and he's happy to be with us, of course, as we talk about the Twins. So you can introduce yourself. Anything you'd like to share, fire away right now.
As Joel alluded to, my name's Matt. Super excited to be here talking about baseball, a sport that I've personally played and had experience in. So it's not like football, I guess, where I can say things, but I've never played the game. Mm-hmm. Just like any other Minnesota sports team, it's just been heartbreak.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I played baseball all through elementary. Well, not all through elementary school. I played it through young elementary school. Then I stopped playing it. Didn't really have the interest. Played it again in 5th grade. Got no hits the whole year. Was awful. So that's why I don't play the game anymore. And that's why I watch the game. And that's why I talk about the game. And hopefully I can sit in the press box for a living someday. But with that said, we are here to bring you our notes. So this is how today's show is going to be working, ladies and gentlemen. I wrote up 3 points, of course, since the Twins scored 3 runs tonight. I wrote up my 3 main points about the game. Following us going through that, we are going to transition and talk about the Twins trade deadline, not necessarily the whole MLB. We got to keep it short, of course, since this is really just a Twins show and don't want it to drag out too long, of course. So we're going to talk about the trade deadline for the Minnesota Twins and their moves and also lack thereof moves. But I think with that said, we are about ready to get into this one. So with that said, my first main point is pretty unsurprising. Knowing me, if you guys have been around the show before, you know I like to praise the starting pitching of the Twins since they've done such a beautiful job this year. And I'm going to be kicking it off with that exact point. My first main point I had was Pablo Lopez had another great outing tonight. In fact, Pablo Lopez, I'll start by sharing his stats tonight. He had 6 innings pitched. He gave up just 1 earned run the whole game, 4 hits, and he threw 94 pitches. I would have been okay throwing him out there again, but he did have a bit of a log jam in. Let me look what inning I believe. That was the 6th, if I remember correctly. Yep. 6th inning, there was a bit of a log jam with Pablo pitching, but overall, he had an outstanding night tonight. Love watching. I didn't count how many strikeouts he had, but I'll do that right now. If there's any
5.
thoughts that you got on it, I mean, you can talk about it, but Pablo Lopez, I just love watching him. Such a natural pitcher and so good at getting swings and misses. In fact, I think they said they popped on screen during TV tonight that he leads the MLB in first pitch strike percentage. And he's just so good at throwing strikes, so good at getting strikeouts, like I said earlier. Just great, entertaining, natural pitcher to watch.
Well, alluding to the strikes tonight, he threw, as you said, he threw 94 pitches, 65 of them ended up being strikes. He, I guess, lowered his ERA to 4.01, a little bit inflated due to some bad outings. But as you said, the starting pitching this year has always been reliant. It's been good, whether it's not Sonny Gray of late, but early in the year, Sonny Gray, Joe Ryan, Kenta Maeda of late's been very good. So you wish the offense could just pick it up just a little bit to help support the starting staff, but the bullpen has done a great job too. Griffin Jax had a nice outing. He got lucky on that first pitch strike to Nolan Arenado. He did allow 2 hits, but he got out of the jam. This isn't me praising Emilio Pagan. I still hate him, but he did throw 1 inning and didn't allow a run. And then Duran did give up that home run late, but didn't hurt us in the end. His ERA is still a little inflated due to that tough stretch he had. So, I mean, on the pitching side of things, you're good. It's not the issue. You just wish the offense could pick it up. But yeah, Pablo Lopez, what more else can you say? Was very effective tonight. As you said, he struggled in that 6th inning, but only had 1 earned run.
In fact, Pablo tonight only had 4 strikeouts, which is a bit unusual for him, but he was still able to get the job done. He got outs, and he did a fantastic job getting outs. Like I said earlier, he's 3rd in the MLB, 2nd in the entire American League in strikeouts. Yeah, fire away.
ESPN has him at 5.
Okay, maybe I counted wrong.
I'm just going off of ESPN.
No, they're probably right. I'm the one scoring on paper, so I probably did miss.
Respect. You have to respect that.
Or I just counted wrong. Could be any.
You gotta respect the old school approach.
I'm gonna count again though. 1. He had 1 in the 6th inning. He had 1 in the 5th inning. He had 1 in the 4th inning. Oh, and then he had 1 in the 2nd and in the 1st as well. So that is 5. My bad, guys. I was wrong.
Hey, respect.
So I had them all marked down. I just counted it wrong. But with that said, I did count Pablo's pitches by inning, of course, like I usually do. He had 15 in the 1st, 15 in the 2nd, 18 in the 3rd, only 8 pitches in the 4th, 15 in the 5th, and 24 in the 6th. So he did have high pitch counts pretty much the whole game, but he got outs. So I guess what more can you ask? But overall, the entire Twins pitching staff did a great job tonight. In fact, they only gave up 2 runs on 6 hits, and they had no errors in the field, while also only leaving 5 runners on base. So only 6 hits the whole game. But yeah, really the key is 2 runs. It was a low-scoring game. Twins don't tend to score runs, but they're able to hold the opponents without runs. So they did a great job of that tonight. Even though I'm about to crap on the Twins later in the episode, that they did, I would say, do a great job pitching tonight.
The Twins did get lucky in the 5th inning when that whole Jordan Walker little fiasco happened. So that it did save Jorge Polanco from an error, but overall a clean game.
Yeah, we will be getting to that in a little bit too. But yeah, I mean, Pablo Lopez, outstanding. Pagan pitched pretty well too. I believe, if I remember, I think he gave up a hit maybe. He maybe even gave up. He pitched in the 7th inning. He gave up.
No hits, 1 walk.
Yeah. So he still pitched well, only little traffic on the base paths, which always makes me nervous because he's Emilio Pagan. Griffin Jax pitched pretty well too. If I remember, I think he gave up 2 hits, if I remember. And Duran also came in, gave up the home run, but was able to get out otherwise unscathed, as Duran has been having a tough time since the All-Star break. But with that said, I don't have anything else on the pitching, so I'm ready to move on if you are. Ready to move on? All right, let's
I'm
do
ready
it.
to move
Say no
on,
more.
man.
My second main point I had on this game tonight was that the Twins had a tough time getting hits up until the 7th inning. Then they were able to do a lot better of a job. In fact, let me take a look here. Until the 7th inning, the Twins had only had, well, they had 3 hits. They had one in the first, they had one in the third, they had one in the fifth. Before they broke it open in the 7th inning, they were able to get 2 runs on 3 hits. I'll just break down the entire inning. It started off with Jorge Polanco hit a single, then Matt Wallner hit the double. It was the ground rule double that went over the wall on the left side of left field into the stands. So that put runners on second and third with no outs. Jeffers struck out swinging on a 2-2 count. Then Donovan Solano came in. Actually, a smart move there from Rocco Baldelli, which I'll get a lot to him later. But Solano came in, first pitch, hit a single, then advanced to second as well on the play. So he had 2 RBIs over that. And then Michael A. Taylor struck out looking on a 2-2 count, and Correa struck out looking on a full count as well. But yeah, up until that, to me, this game felt kind of dead for the Twins hitting. They just couldn't do anything, felt sluggish, felt like a normal Twins game because that's just how the Twins roll. But then that 7th inning came around, and that completely changed it. And then I was obviously nervous when Pagan came in the 7th inning. I've talked about before how much their momentum changes sometimes make me nervous where Twins score runs, take the lead, and then they give it all right back. But they did a good job tonight. And yeah, following that, then the Twins had a double in the 8th inning from Byron Buxton, but he could not come around and score, and then nothing in the 9th inning. So the Twins finished with 3 runs. 2 of them were earned on 7 hits. 1 error in the field for the Cardinals, which was actually huge, and we'll get to that one later as well. And they had 5 runners left on base. So I was frustrated by their inability to get hits, but overall, I think it's overridden by the fact that the Twins were able to pitch so well. So that's my kind of thoughts on that here tonight.
And that's the story of every Twins game, it feels. You look up and down this lineup, even at the beginning of the year, you would think they could put up a lot more runs and be a lot more consistent, and that's just not the case. We'll get to our thoughts later, but
yeah, they have such a good lineup on paper. They just can't get hits. They can't string them together, but really they can't make contact, and that's a lot of the problem why they're about to become the highest strikeout team in MLB history, and by a fair margin too.
I mean, you hear when you're younger, at the youngest of levels, you put the ball in play, good things are going to happen.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Cardinals almost had a runner on third because Jordan Walker put the ball in play and forced Polanco to make an error. But obviously, you have to touch first base if you want to be at third. But you hear at this shortest at any level, and I don't like the Guardians, but they've been good in recent years due to the fact that they're not going to overpower you. They have good pitching, but they put the ball in play.
Yeah,
They play a little bit small ball, but they put the ball in play, good things happen, and they score runs, and it's consistent. The Twins just really rely on the long ball. Didn't get any today, still came away with a win, but the small ball is going to most likely win you more games when your entire roster strikes out almost 8 or more times a game.
Yeah, that's, I think, the biggest gripe I always have with this team is their inability to make contact. Because if you hit the ball, sometimes it'll go over the fence. Of course, that's going to happen. Sometimes it's going to be a base hit. But really, if you can get runners on base, that's what allows runners to move. Chaos, errors can happen, kind of like tonight's game where the Cardinals tried gifting it to the Twins. Anything can happen. So I that's the one thing I can't stand is nowadays when fans just say, oh, it's a part of the game now. It's just strikeouts, But to me, that's just not how I see it. You got to put the ball in play because anything can happen when you do. With that said, if you have anything you can share, otherwise, I'm ready to move on to what I pretty much just alluded to.
I mean, you just look up and down the lineup 1 through 9. The lineup that was put out today, you got most guys in this lineup except for Willie Castro and Donovan Solano, who came in as pitch hitters, are just trying to put the ball over the fence. Michael A. Taylor's probably looking to just put the ball in play, but that's one guy. And that's not sustainable. You're not going to win a lot of games by just trying to hit long balls.
Yeah, I think that's why I like Eddie Julien so much and Alex Kirilloff so much. And sometimes I know Donovan Solano's been in a slump as of late, but Solano too is because those three guys are the main three I think tend to put the ball in play. Even Max Kepler sometimes does a decent job. Sometimes he has bad strikeouts, but I just like watching them because they're able to put the ball in play, especially Julien over the month of July was just outstanding. And that's what, of course, that's why I liked and everyone liked Luis Arraez so much is because he was able to put the ball in play, make contact, and anything can happen then. But with that said, I think we can continue on to our third one. We got to be honest here. The Cardinals and the umpires were so close to just gifting the Twins the game up until the seventh inning. I wrote this one and the last one main point I had before the seventh inning, so I was still kind of frustrated at the time since they weren't getting hits. Nothing was going really right other than the fact that Pablo Lopez was pitching so well. But there were a few different instances tonight. Namely was the what's his face? I can't think of his name. Jordan
Walker.
The Jordan Walker play. We'll bring you up to speed. There's a couple other ones too. But we'll start with the Jordan Walker play. It was the fifth inning. Jordan Walker hit it to third base where Polo was playing. Polo fielded it, threw it wide, if I remember correctly, and then it got away from Gallo. So Walker headed to second base. The ball was still kind of loose, so then he took off for third, and he was able to make it into third on a three-base throwing error, except for the fact that it was not an error, and really the only error was on Jordan Walker, who didn't touch first base. So that was the big point of the game because the Twins were up 1-0 at the time. That could have been a huge turning point had he scored then, and it would have just been crappy baseball. But so they kind of shot themselves in the foot there. But that was really the big dumb play. But there were a couple other ones where trying to remember the inning, I can find it here. It was this inning. I believe it was the fifth inning then was where maybe it wasn't the fifth, maybe it was the third, whatever. Twice the umpires really benefited the Twins. The one was on. Oh, no. It was when the Twins scored the run. So it would have been the fifth inning. It was the top half of the fifth inning. The Twins had Jeffers at third base with 2 outs, and Taylor was batting. First pitch, he hit to short. The shortstop, who would have been Tommy Edman, fielded the ball and threw it wide toward the home plate side of first base. So the first baseman, who would have been Paul Goldschmidt, came off the bag, tried the swipe tag, didn't work out, so the Twins scored. It was the right call. He didn't tag him. But again, that was dumb baseball. The Twins were kind of gifted that run just because of an error by the shortstop, Edman, there. And then the other big thing I noticed was also in the fifth inning, bottom of the fifth inning, was when I forget the batter now, but I can find it here. Found it right here. It would have been, actually, maybe it wasn't there. It was when, maybe I scored this wrong. It should be a G3-1, and I wrote G1-3, so I think I found it. I think it was Tommy Edman hitting, but I could be wrong here. And what happened was, whoever it was, they hit it to, it would have been first base. The first baseman, who tonight was Gallo, I could be wrong on this, guys. This is just what I recall happening. Gallo fielded it, tossed it to first, which was being covered by Pablo Lopez. He caught it, went for the tag on the base with his foot. He missed the first time, but then he got it the second time. The runner was called safe initially. Then they looked at it, and he was called out, which was the right call, but by about that much. It was so close. So those are just really the three big ones. That play I just talked about with Pablo Lopez, the throwing error by Edman, and then the Jordan Walker dumb play. Wow, were those all in the fifth inning? Wow, that was just a brutal fifth inning. But you get what I'm saying. Overall, until the seventh inning when the Twins started getting hits and proving that they could actually win the game, really the Cardinals and umpires were just telling the Twins, they were begging them to win that game. Kind of like the Royals did on Saturday night too, when Royals went up 6-0, then suddenly it was 6-5. I wasn't actually watching that game though, so I can't speak a whole lot on that one, but yes. So with that said, unless you have any other thoughts on the game, I do not, and I'm ready to move into the deadline talk.
I mean, sometimes you need luck to win games. You can't rely on it, though. Sometimes it benefits you. Most of the time, as a Minnesota sports fan, it doesn't favor you. So you like it when it favors you, but also, I don't know. It was the Cardinals. The Cardinals aren't that great this year. Should have been sellers. And we're lucky to win that game. We got to come out better tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. So with that said, I think we're ready to move on. We are going to talk about the Minnesota Twins trade deadline. So for all you sports fans, today was one of the biggest days in all of the sports calendar, which is the MLB trade deadline, because unlike the NFL, things actually happen. Really, it's every sport other than the NFL, but I don't think there really is a way to make the NFL more interesting in the trade deadline since it's such a short season. But with that said, the Twins trade deadline came and went at 5 o'clock Central Time today. Twins did nothing today. They did trade away Jorge Lopez, which we'll get to in a quick moment. But with that said, I'm going to start by noting something here. I've got a hat right here. I've got a shirt right here. Hold on, the hat's the wrong way. Give me a minute, y'all. All right, now we're good. Is there anything you notice specifically about the shirt I'm wearing here?
I'd say that's an old logo.
Right on. It is the old branding. So let me put this hat back on. I am wearing the old branding, and I wore it today for a specific reason. As it got close to 5 o'clock, there was something I realized. And for all you new viewers here, this is a trigger warning. I'm about to get a little mad, and that's okay. I purposely wore this shirt. I purposely wore this hat for one specific reason, because this team this year has a new logo. They have a new set of uniforms. They have a new team. But in my eyes, they're the same old Twins. The deadline came and went. They did nothing outside of Jorge Lopez earlier this week. Man, I'm about to get all into it, but I'm just frustrated with the fact that they did nothing. There were 3 scenarios they could have done. Number one is they could have been buyers, and they could have said, this is a crappy division. We're going to go all in. We're going to try and win this division and win a playoff game, which they haven't done since 2004, the year I was born. The second option, though, that they could have done was they could have sold and said, we got players that aren't playing super great. We got players that are about to be leaving after the year. We're just going to sell them for what we can do and try and make a push in the coming years when our team is better overall, which I'm going to talk more about that later, since that's what I would have done if I was Levine and Falvey. Or option 3 is do absolutely nothing and ride it out. And they did option 3, which is absolutely nothing and ride it out. And I'm frustrated with it because they're the same team every year. Since 2019, they're the same team. They had that great year. They had the Bomba squad. They were a great team overall. But now I'm so frustrated by the fact they keep trying to add on to that team. They keep trying to salvage what there was. And it's all on Falvey. It's Levine. It's Rocco. But really, it's higher than even just them, because some of this problem to me stems from the Pohlads, the owners of this team. Joe Pohlad, Jim Pohlad, and I'm going to keep Carl out of it since he was the owner when the Twins won the World Series back in 87 and 91. But with Joe and Jim, their ability to settle for mediocrity is a problem. And I don't want to word this in too harsh of a way, but it's unfortunate that they're the owners, because there's nothing we can do to get them out of their position. And so with that said, it's almost like the Vikings are with the Wilfs too. Mark Wilf, Leonard Wilf, Ziggy Wilf, all of them, they are just so content on being a decent team, and they just want to be relevant every single year. They're not willing to sell in order to become better. Sometimes you have to take a step back to take 2 steps forward, and they just can't do it. And it makes me so frustrated, both with the Wilfs and the Pohlads too. which is why the Pohlads aren't going to get rid of Thad Levine, their general manager. They're not going to get rid of Derek Felvey, the president of baseball ops. They're not going to get rid of Rocco Baldelli, the manager, because they hold the philosophy the Pohlads hold. Or maybe they don't. Maybe they're just being puppeted by the Pohlads, but it is frustrating to me. In fact, I wrote down, this is one of the notes before the game, I wrote down, since 2020, when the Twins last won the AL Central, they now have a record of 205 and 226, which is a winning percentage of 0.4756. That's what I meant to say. The problem is, like I said, they just keep trying to win every single year. They're trying to add on, and they can't do that anymore because they don't have a farm system. They've sold all their prospects away. Christian Encarnacion Strand, Spencer Steer. Look at how they're playing with the Reds. And really, all the Twins have now is Trevor Larnach, and I don't even know if you can consider him a prospect really anymore since he has seen Major League time. They have Brooks Lee. They just drafted Walker Jenkins 5th overall. But outside of that, they have nobody. They can't sell anybody. To me, they have no choice but to sell because you look at how depleted they are. They have to take a step back, and they're not going to do it. And if you're a Twins fan, I understand. You can look at me and say, I'm not a fan. I don't support the team. I'm mad at them right now, and I am. And I'll accept your criticism of that. There are some fans that can only look at the positives. But in my eyes, a true fan can criticize your team when they are being dumb. And for me, winning the AL Central is cool. Winning a postseason game is cool because they haven't done that in 18 games. And winning a postseason series would really be great. But when I look at it, all I can do is look at the macro vision, which is what does it take for this team to win a World Series? And that's the same thing I think with the Vikings, same thing I think with the Wild, same thing I think with the Wolves as well. What is it going to take to win a championship? And to me, that is not what the Pohlads, that's not what Falvey, Baldelli, that's not what Levine have at heart. They're just trying to be a decent team so they don't get crapped on by the media or whoever's out there. But with that said, I'm kind of just starting to repeat now because that's how frustrating. Oh, I got one more thing, actually. I also did write down, heading out of the All-Star break, the Twins were 9-2 before they went 0-5 heading into tonight's game. So now 1-5. They were playing so well, and then suddenly they just dropped. And it's since I bought this hat. Maybe this hat's cursed. I bought this hat Tuesday night, and the guy at the hat shop in Colorado said, Twins are rolling right now. And I said, yes, sir, my man. And now they are 1-5 since then. They were 0-5. But, I mean, if you want to take it from here, you can. I think everyone just kind of gets my point. I'm just frustrated at the ideology of the front office with Thad Levine, Derek Falvey, Rocco Baldelli. Changes need to happen, and the Pohlads aren't willing to do that. And that's what I think about it.
I can't top that.
That might have been that's arguably, I wouldn't say it's a better.
I would say that's your second best rant.
Is it behind
in
the
Minnesota sports?
The Mike Zimmer?
The Mike Zimmer rant is definitely number one.
I used to
get really haven't seen it, you should go watch it just because, I mean, it embodies what every Vikings fan thought of Zimmer.
During that 2021 season, I definitely had some frustrations, and I would go on. I think I did a couple times with Ed Donatel last year too, but it wasn't quite as intense as
everyone had thoughts about Ed.
But
this is the SKOL Joel Twins postgame show, and we should save talks of Vikings for the SKOL podcast, which you can get into later.
Yeah.
But I can just repeat every talking point, but I can just sit here and just talk about some decisions that the Twins have made, not deciding to be buyers or sellers and staying complacent. There is a guy in the minor leagues who was a former Cy Young winner, and his name's Dallas Keuchel. In 6 games in the minor leagues, I have his stats right around here. Ted from Twitter, very huge Twins guy and deals with a lot of frustration, but his numbers with the Saints in 6 games was a 1.13 ERA in 32 innings. He had 26 hits, 6 runs, 4 earned, 12 walks, 28 strikeouts. Joel, would you say that's good? Just the ERA alone.
Yeah.
Minnesota Twins today told Dallas Keuchel there was not a spot available for him on the roster.
It's just
And
unbelievable.
he has now opted out of his contract. He will not play. As far as I'm concerned, I don't think he'll play for the Twins.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll go somewhere else. Now, the message ownership sent to the clubhouse is very infuriating. Again, from Ted too. The Twins front office message to the clubhouse: we assembled a good team this winter. More than a few of you are underperforming. Look within and figure it out. There's a good team in the clubhouse. It's on you to find it.
Yeah.
Now, that's just strictly just kind of, there's fault to go all around for not being as good as you should be.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately the front office just threw the blame at the players. We didn't do anything wrong. You guys just aren't performing. Well, that's on you to help the team perform better. Go get players that are going to help the team perform. Maybe it is a trade for a young guy, or maybe you do trade. Who were they talking? And through the deadline, they were looking at Sonny Gray or Kenta Maeda. Maybe it is trading one of them for a righty bat. Maybe that righty bat ends up sparking the offense. Click something. Who knows? Well, we won't know because you didn't make a deal. And instead of, making moves to help the team that you run be better, you immediately sit and you tell your players it's your fault. Figure it out.
Yeah.
It's like you're struggling in school and, you're like, teacher, I need help. It's like, figure it out. Well, I'm not help. I'm just still going to sit here and struggle. And that's kind of what's going to happen with the Twins. They're still going to struggle. Like, nothing's going to change. Probably not the best analogy, but you get the point. It's like you're still going to struggle. Like, nothing's going to change. A lot of, the Twins were fielding calls today about their starting pitching. That's cool. I can answer a phone call too. But at the end of the day, you're not making moves. You have, and people on Twitter have said this, so it's not like one specific person. I agree. The Twins have enough talent to win the division. It's with what they got. And as Joel keeps saying, Twins are okay with being just mediocre. Hey, we can win the division. As long as we sell tickets, that's all that matters. The prime...
Sorry, you go.
No, you're good. But I was going to say, the guy that you wanted to get, you paid to get on the team to sell tickets was Joey Gallo. And during the broadcast, it was flamed by Dick Bramer saying he has struck out in half of his at-bats. I don't know how many at-bats he's had this year, but it feels like he struck out, say he's had 200 at-bats, he struck out like 100 times. That's honestly a fair assumption. He's hitting 177, and today he struck out and he lined up to center. I didn't know. Did he hit the ball hard? I wasn't watching when that happened. Do you remember that at bat?
Let me take a look here. Gallo had 2 plate appearances. Obviously he struck out looking, and then
when he lined up to center, I just didn't know. Was it a hard hit ball?
I don't. Probably not. I feel like I would have recalled if it specifically was. I'm sure it was just something routine.
I mean, it's just, and they did nothing, and they've done nothing. Even like not even try to trade him. I love Joey Gallo, but at the same time, we knew what we got when we signed for him. We knew this is what's going to happen. He's going to strike out a lot, but offset he's going to hit home runs. Well, I'd rather have him hit more home runs than he does strike out. Wish he got hits more consistently.
Yeah. Gallo is honestly borderline unplayable right now. Just watching him hit, he doesn't put the ball in play. In his career, one of the most known stats is he only has 3 sac flies in his whole career, which is just awful.
And we thought this whole the shift was going to really unlock Joey Gallo. He hits statistically so well in target field. And when he's on, though, he's on. It's just, we basically just got a replacement for Miguel Sano who can play defense a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the guys, some of the other pickups, like Willie Castro and Donovan Solano work, but those are the utility guys. These aren't guys that are supposed to be playing every day. Well, now they have to because of injuries. And I don't know. You're just underwhelmed by the Twins all the time. I personally would have been okay with them selling because, cool, we can win a division. That's it. We're not winning a playoff game. We're not winning a World Series. That's what you should be building for.
Mm-hmm.
To say, oh, we won a division, that's good enough. Let's extend Rocco. Let's keep the GM. Let's keep Falvey around. That's not good enough. And I think Twins fans should be tired of just hearing we can win the Central. Where's the optimism? I know the Bomba squad, it's probably the most fun I've ever had as a Twins fan because you really felt like that team was going to go somewhere. Obviously, they didn't. It was still a good team who made – I can't recall that deadline, but they probably made moves to stay competitive. Even last year, I mean, they made moves at the deadline to stay competitive. Where is that? Where was that approach? I don't know. It's just always still frustrating.
Yeah.
Even sitting here and the Twins win, and it's just still frustrating because this isn't gonna last. We have a 2-game lead on Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be shocked if we win the division. As I want to be wrong, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think we're winning the division. It really will come down to those games. And Cleveland made moves. Sure, they were selling. They picked up Noah Syndergaard. They traded Ahmed Rosario. So they were kind of selling, but they were doing something. They picked up a nice prospect in Kahil Watson. I definitely said his first name wrong, but he's a nice young prospect from Miami. They're selling, but they're making moves. They're doing something because they're trying to win. If it's not now, it's long term. It's just very frustrating, and I just can't stress that enough. We have to be done with mediocrity. We need to expect more, and hopefully, one Twins player's watching this and says, "You know what? These two guys are right. They are sitting in a room in their basement, and they're right. Coach is right. If we want to win, it's on us. It's got to be that mentality." But man, oh man, you really will hope guys like Wallner can put it together, and you hope guys that are in the minors like Brooks Lee, Emmanuel Rodriguez, you hope Royce Lewis can become more durable and can play more. Because those are the guys that can help win in the future. And I don't know, because we're not winning now. Front office made that clear we don't want to win now. We're okay with being middle of the pack. We're okay with being 55 and 53. I know the players aren't happy with it, but ultimately, nothing's going to change.
Yeah, I was thinking about it today, and you might, if you're a Twins fan watching this, you might think I'm ludicrous for saying this, and I understand where you're coming from. But I was thinking about it today, and I honestly, the thought in my mind was I would not have a problem if the Cleveland Guardians won this division right now. Because if the Twins win it and get bounced right away and swept, nothing is going to happen. And still nothing might happen, even if they don't win. But I'd rather take my chance. Honestly, I want to see Cleveland win it just because changes need to happen, and they're not going to happen.
Well, I also would argue this, if you're looking at ownership perspective, one might argue saying, oh, we were so close.
Yeah.
We were so close with what we had. We just need to add another piece. And you with the division, we won the division. We're right there. It's that same mindset. It's like, oh, we're fully healthy. We're a great team.
I feel like nothing's ever going to happen unless either they win 100 games or they lose 100 games. There's no in between for what's going to happen.
I mean, you got most common one I can say is you look at like Sonny Gray. Going into the deadline, he's going to be a free agent. What are the odds he resigns in Minnesota?
He's not. So, yeah.
You could trade him and get value, or you're going to do what the Twins are about to do and just let him walk for nothing.
I was about to touch on that since you brought it up earlier. Sonny Gray this season is 4-4 on the year with an ERA of 3.22 and a WHIP of, 1.27. He has 117 innings pitched. He did make the All-Star game, and he did pitch in the All-Star game. Like you said, his contract does expire after the year, and he's been fairly vocal about the fact that he does not like the Twins, and specifically, he doesn't like the way the Twins are run, in whether it's Rocco or above Rocco, but there is a very slim chance in my mind and pretty much everyone's mind that he's going to re-sign here. So with that said, this is the exact same thing I thought about Carlos Correa last year. If they're just going to walk after the season, why wouldn't you get whatever you can? Because you're not this isn't the NFL where you get comp picks or whatever. Maybe you actually do get comp picks in the MLB. But either way, even if you do, the value, it's not the same at all. Would you rather have a potentially higher end prospect since Sonny Gray is such a good player, or would you rather have some, mediocre draft pick? Like, come on. And then you could call up Dallas Keuchel with that open spot too, and Louis Varland is down there too. But instead, they chose to do nothing. One of the other reasons I thought they should have made a trade isn't just to make the team better on the playing field. They need to shake up the clubhouse, and they don't do that. This clubhouse, and you kind of talked about no one gets the blame for anything, and how Falvey today talked about how it's on the players. The players just need to play better. They're not doing well. But one of the other big gripes I have about this team is there's no accountability anywhere. They can play bad, but they're just going to be like, oh, whatever, and move on. Sometimes you have to hold players accountable for being bad. You have to sit down and talk to players. You have to bench players even sometimes too. But that just never happens. Everyone's just kumbaya and keeps moving. So I think they, just as much as they needed a change on the playing field, they needed a change to show the clubhouse that not everyone is safe and that this isn't just a free-for-all, do whatever you want kind of a show here. With that said,
I just want to point out we are fully aware you cannot trade draft picks in the MLB. You can't do that.
Okay, yeah.
And we're already better than First Take because they were talking about trading Shohei Ohtani for 5 first-round draft picks.
Oh, really?
Well, sorry, you can't do that. So,
Were you targeting me on that one? Because if I did, I was being unclear.
No, because you were talking about draft picks, and I just wanted to point out because, like, we're not dumb. We do know how this works.
In case I was unclear with people, I was trying to talk about comp picks. If you don't know how a compensatory pick works in the NFL, if a player who is a free agent in the NFL then does not re-sign with their team and sign somewhere else, your team can be awarded a compensatory pick for losing that player. And I was not sure if that happens in the MLB. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I guess I don't know the rules super well.
Me either. I don't think that happens.
That was what I meant when I said either you can trade for a potentially decent prospect or you acquire a draft pick. And by acquire a draft pick, I meant a comp pick. But for anyone watching,
essentially what I'm getting at is
might not have been clear.
We are better than the people at First Take. We might have dumb takes, but we have a little bit better understanding than people at ESPN do. So ESPN, if you need better baseball analysis,
we're right here.
There's us, and there's definitely better out there than us. So figure it out. So
with that said, unless you have anything, I think I've let about all the we can talk about the Jorge Lopez trade quick. Then I think we can close it out. Okay. So the Minnesota Twins traded Jorge Lopez for Dylan Floro from the Miami Marlins. Dylan Floro on the year has an ERA of 4.39 with a WHIP of 1.46. He has 41 strikeouts and 7 saves on the year. Jorge Lopez had an ERA of 4.86, a 1.24 WHIP, 28 strikeouts and 3 saves. So it was, I believe it was a 1-for-1 trade. And Jorge Lopez, they acquired him at the deadline last year. Isn't quite what they thought he was going to be, but I don't know. It seems like I guess there's nothing to say for this trade other than that it's just an apples to apples trade. To me, it seems like a pretty fair deal for both sides.
Just swap in relievers. Both
Mhm.
needed potentially a fresh start in a new place. Floro will take over Jorge Lopez's role, and Jorge Lopez might be the new closer in Miami. David Robertson was a pickup for Miami. He blew the game today to the Phillies, so I don't know where Jorge Lopez is going to sit, if he's still going to be the setup guy to David Robertson or if it's the other way around. It really is an apples for apples trade, and it's not that exciting. Sorry. I mean, hey, yeah, the Twins did make one trade, but we just flopped relievers.
It was just kind of a meh trade. But with that said, I think we've pretty much voiced our frustrations on the front office and ownership, as well as talking about the game. So unless you have anything else, I think we can wrap this one up.
As much as we hate the front office, we know the players aren't safe. They're going to lead the league in strikeouts, and that's on players. No one is safe from the wrath of SKOL Joel. Okay, you're all catching strays out here.
So with that said, I'm just going to give all you guys watching, if anyone is still watching, a little update on the channel. There will be a SKOL Joel Twins postgame show tomorrow night as well, but there will not be Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I have to work Thursday. Friday, Saturday, I'm going to be gone camping. Then as far as next week is concerned, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. That's still a ways away. As far as Soul of the SKOL is concerned, the Vikings podcast I'm one of the co-founders of, we do have 3 episodes currently planned out. I'm not going to tell you guys what they are yet because you're going to have to watch, but we don't have a date for them yet. They are coming soon hopefully before I move out August 17th for college. So hopefully we can film at least one, as many as possible by then so we can do them in person. But yes, the podcast is not ending. It will just be moving to an online format. Pretty much what we just did here tonight. But yeah, I just figured I should let you guys know that we do 3 episodes in the works and it's not over. It's just on a summer break because everyone's busy and life happens. But with that said, I think that about does it for tonight's stream. Thank you guys so much for watching. Of course, be back here tomorrow for another episode. If anything changes, check out the community tab on this channel because I will make a post if anything changes. But if I don't say anything, then that means we are on like Donkey Kong for tomorrow night. So that said, have a good night, everybody. Peace out. And I still don't have a good phrase to close us out. Like I say, SKOL Vikings in the other one. So,